I'm Quincas and I'm a synth DIY guy. Welcome to today's video, which is the demo for Befaco's CV thing. I've been working on this for 2 weeks because I've been having a lot of fun with it. And basically, I've been using the iPad, an app that I'm very fond of, I have personal history with, which is Moog Model 15. I was a beta tester for this app and I designed a few of the factory presets. It's a skeuomorphic replica of Moog's own modular system called Model 15. And it has an oscillator driver, 2 oscillators, one other oscillator that is also an LFO. You have the classic ladder filter, but also the fixed filter bank, a couple of attenuators, a couple of VCAs, a couple of envelope generators, a mixer, a reversible attenuator, which is an attenuverter, and you have a patch bay here for the controllers. You have a few options. You can have keys, you can have an analog style controller, you can have an arpeggiator and a ribbon controller. And over here are some add-ons that are not on the original Model 15, which is a delay effect, a couple more attenuverters, a couple of amplifiers, a recorder, and also the audio bridge and the MIDI bridge. Now the MIDI bridge is interesting. Here you can double tap on any of these to MIDI and connect any modulation source that you would want to send possibly to my FH2 here and control things on the modular, so that's possible. But there's also from MIDI over here with 6 outputs. I can configure my CV thing to send to these guys and then send these to any destination. So when I double tap on one of these, it'll then highlight what are the possible destinations for that CC message, right? However, there's another way that you can assign CC controls, which makes this synthesizer a lot more powerful than it already is. It sounds really good. It was developed by Moog themselves, by Geert Bevin's crew over there at Moog. And of course they had the real thing right next to them to emulate the sound as closely as humanly possible, and they did an amazing job. It's really, really good. Probably one of the best iPad synthesizers in existence. There are a few advantages to this one. One of them is, of course, the controllers, the patch saving, of course. Since it's digital, you can save your patches, but you can also, and here's what's interesting, in conjunction with CV thing, you can map CV controls to any knob. So that means that any of these attenuators over here can become VCAs. So you have 3 VCAs over here. Just send a CC control message to one of these knobs over here. Then you have voltage control over this. Same with the low pass filter here. This can become a non-resonant voltage controlled low pass filter. Controls such as the range selector on these oscillators, which normally wouldn't be available via CV. I mean, there's no CV input for that. Well, you can control it via CC messages. How do you do that? Well, you come here to settings. Right here in MIDI, there's a couple of options down here on the bottom right, which are map CCs and save load CC map. So the first thing you want to do is clear to make sure that there's nothing pre-assigned. Okay. And now moving over to the synthesizer over here, my little quarantine box, which I call the aquarium because it's blue, sports a Befaco lunch bus in there with an upgraded PSU that can handle all of these digital modules that I have on here. I've set up a whole bunch of modulation sources as well as a voice. So the voice is the Kermit. First 2 channels of the Kermit, one is sending a random voltage and the other one is sending a gate. And they're going to the last 2 inputs on CV thing over here. So that's 7 and 8. And these are set up in the menu here. If you go to 7 and you choose function, it's set up as volt per octave 2 note, volt per octave 2 note. And that setting immediately configures the following channel, which is 8, to be a gate input, so that you use them as CV and gate inputs that will become a note. So that's the first thing that we can patch over here. Let's quickly patch a voice. As you can see here on these two buttons, the red and the blue, they are to assign incoming controller data to oscillators and envelopes, so you don't have to hand patch that. So if I take, for example, a sawtooth wave from this guy, put it in the filter, take it from the filter to a VCA, take a VCA output to the trunk lines, and we patch the envelope generator to the control input of the VCA. Once we open up the filter here, we start hearing that random voice. Turn up the octave. There we go, on the oscillator. Cool. Now, the other inputs on my CV thing are assigned to other modulation sources that I have on this system. So two of them are on the dust of time modules. Each one has two auxiliary outputs. I've set them to output the X and Y axes of the chaos generators. Now, dust of time 2 over here, the black one, output 2 didn't seem to be working. I have to double check my soldering on there. It's a DIY version. So what I did is I assigned the ornament in crime. I put it on lower rents, so that's sending a strange attractor chaotic voltage as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 chaotic voltages, and we're also using the 2 extra channels on the Kermit here, C and D, as LFOs, right? So if I turn this one is actually a smooth random, and this one is a fast LFO. If I turn it up, you can see it go nuts over there. That's on input 2. All right, so let's start assigning things, right? This is just a simple, very simple voice. Why don't I send the triangular from one of them to the AC modulation of the other? And on settings here, I can map CCs. And now another thing that I really like about Model 15 is that it's not like some of these other programs that only do a MIDI learning, because right now I have a lot of CC data being piped in, so I can't really use the learn function because it'll be really confusing. But double tapping any of these, and it opens up an assignment window, and I can choose. So why don't I choose that random voltage that's going into input 1 of CV thing, and that's going to be 16. So I've mapped it to CC 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and then MIDI note and note on, note off. So I click on set here, and now if we close this, you can see, and this is another advantage of using this method to the bridge method over here, because the bridge is going to go into an input and you get no visual representation of what's happening. Whereas when you assign CC to a knob, you see the knob move. You get the flying faders or flying knobs, actually, which is really awesome to see your modulation sources in action there. Let's go back, settings, map CCs. Why don't we add a cutoff of the filter? We'll put number 17, which is that LFO set. And one reason I like to use the Kermit for this is because it has amplitude control. So if I click on here, if I hold the A key and turn, I have the amplitude control. I can make it move just a little bit or a whole lot. I can make it slow or fast. You can move the frequency range. There you go. Give it a little bit of regeneration. Why don't we turn the range up on this oscillator that's FMing the other? Already, this is sounding pretty cool. Now, why not use the delay effect? Turn the mix up, turn the feedback up, and we get a little delay here. So why don't I assign another one of those CC controls to the delay time, right? So I go to settings again, map CCs, double tap time, and I'll choose, well, we've already used 16 and 17, so why not 18? Set. Cool, and there it is. And that's a chaos generator, so you can see it's not an LFO. It sweeps over a wide range, and then not so wide, and then cycles back. And that's this guy over here, right? Which is my strange attractor on the dust of time, the silver dust of time over here. And I can change that speed. I can make it go slower. Is that what that is doing? I can also change the type of attractor. Use Thomas instead of Iuza or whatever. Right? So this is a really cool way to add all sorts of different modulation possibilities to Model 15 that I wouldn't normally have. Could I have done this with another iPad app? Probably, but would it be as fun as using my modular? No. Okay, we already have the delay time. We have the oscillator that's modulating the other oscillator, controlled by another chaotic attractor. We have the filter cutoff frequency. Now, why don't we send a sawtooth wave from the third oscillator there to our fixed filter bank? And we'll send the fixed filter bank to the other VCA that I have here, right? And we'll send the signal output to my other trunk line here. So it'll be on the right side. Okay. And we'll send the other... Actually, I'll just make this a drone, so I'll manually turn on the voltage control, right? Now, all of the bands on the filter are down. So I would need to turn them up in order to start to hear something, right? And this is a fixed filter bank. It has no CV control at all, traditionally. But as you know, with CV thing and Model 15's really cool CC assignment features, I can assign to any of these bands any of my controls. So why don't we put... So 16, 17, 18, when we put 19 on this one, set, and we'll do it on another one too, because I don't have that many. So we'll have two bands controlled by 19, right? And we'll have two bands controlled by 20. So that's this one. We can choose this one as well. 20, set, and 21 this one. That's already picked it up. 21 this one as well. And I can even reuse some of my previous controls, so why not 16 for this one, set, and 17 for this one. So 18 for the low pass. There we go. And we'll just leave the high pass without any manual control. I can control the amplitude if I want to. Instead of sending a CV to one of these CV inputs, I can simply control the manual knob over here. But I think it's sounding okay as a drone. And look at the craziness here on the fixed filter bank. How all the knobs are going nuts and moving around and creating interesting timbres out of that saw wave. That would be cool to assign something to the octave switch of that oscillator too. Why not? So CC, map CCs, and we'll assign any one of them. Could be that one, 21, to that. And as we close this window, you can see how it's now switching around octaves. And we could even use the auxiliary output instead, and here and use another one of my controllers for the wave assignment. And why not? 16 is fine. Cool. So there you have it. I've turned my Model 15 iPad synthesizer into a crazy generative machine controlled by modulation sources, which I can now grab knobs and move speeds and amplitudes and whatnot as my heart desires. Very cool. Add some more regeneration here with just feedback. I can send an envelope to one of the control inputs here. In fact, why don't we attenuate it right in one of the attenuators? And what else can I do? Maybe send the triangular from our modulator into frequency control input up that third oscillator as well, the droning one. This mixer right here can become a voltage controlled mixer, right? I can send controls to these 4 knobs over here for 1, 2. So yeah, there's no limit. I also have some voices in the modular here. Like this is Piston Honda, I think, going through my Monsoon. So for a truly hybrid system here. There's also a little analog voice here. I should probably send that to the reverb, the Pico DSP over here. I also have the 2 Dust of Time modules patched in. And yeah, another thing I could do is using FH2, which is the opposite of CV thing. I could send modulation or controller data from Model 15 back to the modular and control my Dust of Time modules as voices. They'll work independently from the chaos modulation sources that are coming out of the aux outputs. So Dust of Time, really cool module for that reason too. It becomes a multifunctional hub in a modular synth. Little cameos here from Piston Honda, Kermit, Dust of Time, Monsoon, Ornament and Crime, and the Electrosmith analog voice. So yeah, I'm just gonna play around here for a while. So please hit like, subscribe, join my Patreon, check out the other videos, check out the build video for this one. And see you soon and stay noisy.